Engaging Networks is a flexible, completely customizable and innovative software platform for nonprofits. We can replace the advocacy, fundraising, email, peer-to-peer events and data management systems nonprofits have, or play nicely with whatever systems they like to keep. The technology and tools that we provide clients include hosted pages, data storage, email management, facilitation of financial transactions through third-party gateways, and much more. All of these different forms of input into the system create the database of record held within the Engaging Network system. Each of these pages also creates transactions and information not only about the supporter, but about what the supporter does on the system too. And this data can be used as intelligence for inbound and outbound campaigns. Whilst Engaging Networks is a fully integrated system for all of these different types of channels, many times organizations will want to extend their functionality outside of the Engaging Networks universe. That's when they'll turn to technology partners like you that will help the client connect to external systems and a universe of applications. Here are just some of the applications that we already connect to. You might recognize the popular ones such as Salesforce, Razor's Edge, Royce Solutions, and there are also many other CRMs that don't have integrations, and that's why we're looking to technology partners to fill that gap and help build a universe of new applications such as links into external content management systems such as WordPress, links into mobile applications, and of course the many other myriad of applications such as social media and many new technologies as they grow in the marketplace. Now, to facilitate the connection from Engaging Networks in and out of these external systems, we've created a set of services called Engaging Network Services, or ENS for short. This consists of a number of services dedicated to specific applications. In the first instance, we have the public API calls. Public API calls use a public token, so they don't need any specific authentication as they only access aggregated, non-identifying data. That might be used in the front-end development of a page. So, for example, the public API call might be used to collect the aggregated number of people that have participated in a particular campaign, and that data can then be used in a front-end design for a counter or a widget that displays social proof, for example. That's a very common use of our public API calls. The next set of services is the bulk data API. Now, the bulk data API allows access to the last 32 days of data collected within the Engaging Network system, both supporter data and transactional data. It uses private tokens, as this is sensitive and in many ways identifying data of each supporter on the system. The bulk data API is usually used for large or scheduled data import-export jobs, so external data syncing between external systems and Engaging Networks itself. The third package in the ENS services is the REST API. Now, the REST API uses authentication and private tokens linked to whitelisted API users by their IP address. The REST API allows real-time calls, the creation, reading, updating, and deleting of supporter data in the database of record within the Engaging Networks platform. The REST API can be used for things like extending functionality of the Engaging Networks platform. You could receive submissions from external sites into Engaging Networks without the supporter ever reaching an Engaging Networks hosted page. You can also create and interact with mobile apps, for example, or business intelligence platforms for external reporting purposes. The REST API really does give you the freedom to access all of the data within an Engaging Networks client account. Of course, private tokens should be used with care and made sure that if they are passed from a client to an agency, that they are communicated via secure methods. It's extremely important to make sure that private tokens remain exactly that, private. Now, the main focus of your work with the APIs will be working with the data in Engaging Networks. So you'll need to understand a little bit about formats of the data that we hold on behalf of clients. For now, let's take a quick overview of the two different types of data that we hold for clients in the Engaging Network system. Firstly, we have supporter data. And this describes the supporter that's taking actions on the campaigns within Engaging Networks. So we store things like the name, address, email, etc. of the supporter. Now, the primary key for the supporter data is always email. So that's always a mandatory field. And for supporter data, data is overwritten in a record when it's submitted to the database. So there will be one row generally in the database for each supporter, and let's say somebody updates their name or their address, then that data is overwritten in that particular cell in that row. The second type of data that we hold within engaging networks is transactional data. And this describes the actions that the supporter actually takes on our system. So that could be, have they opted into a communications preference, for example? Have they participated in a particular campaign? Have they made a donation? All of this information describes the action that the supporter takes. Now, each supporter has a transaction written as a unique row in the database, and those transactions can be recalled either in the system on a dashboard, or they can be imported and exported out through the Data API and the REST API, so that they can be processed or analyzed within external systems. So let's look at a typical use case of the Data API, for example. On the left is the Engaging Networks client with their database of record holding all of the supporter data held in Engaging Networks. On the right, they might also have within their organization a Salesforce database. Now, if they're running campaigns on Engaging Networks, they need access to the data that's held within the Salesforce record to make sure that if they're sending an email, for example, that it goes to their entire list. So many clients will look for a technology partner to build a script that may run on a regular basis every day or every week, and that will sync the data between Engaging Networks and Salesforce, for example, and that means that Salesforce and Engaging Networks always holds the latest up-to-date information regardless of whether a campaign is run in Salesforce or Engaging Networks. If you send an email through Salesforce, it'll go to the entire list. If you send it through Engaging Networks, it'll go through to the entire list as well. Both systems are synced and both have the same data. So if you run a campaign on either, you'll be sending to exactly the same supporters. Here are some other ways that developers have interacted with our system using APIs. 2/3 Water recently worked with Macmillan, and they connected to the theyworkforyou.com website and pulled in photos of the local MPs. Now, Engaging Networks doesn't keep an up-to-date database of MPs' photographs, but theyworkforyou.com does. So they connected to the theyworkforyou.com external API and pulled the picture information into Engaging Networks and populated that within the Engaging Networks database, which meant when a supporter took an email to target campaign, Macmillan were able to populate the page with a photo of a specific MP alongside the request for the supporter to take action and email their MP. Another of our technology partners, Corner Shop Creative, created a plugin for WordPress that connects Gravity Forms, a popular form builder within WordPress, into the Engaging Networks system. So any charity that hosts their own WordPress.org site now has the ability to simply install a plugin, enter their ENS REST API key into the plugin on the back end of WordPress, and that will connect any form created in Gravity Forms within WordPress itself to pipe data directly into the Engaging Networks database, directly bypassing the need for a hosted page on our system. So as you can see, there are many use cases for accessing the API, and we really look forward to you getting involved with clients and building some new and exciting applications that interface with the Engaging Networks platform.